Welcome back to the Four Corner Sports Podcast. I'm your host for this one, Brandon Pockerish, joined by Austin Kane, Zach Maddock, and Gabe Arena. Like always, we're going to go over the prevalent and new sports news that has came out so far, and we're going to get right into it now. So, guys, recently we've seen sports news on how the major professional leagues are going to come back after the coronavirus. The first one we're going to dive into is, I think, the league that has the best plan so far, which would be the NHL. So, Austin, you want to dive into how the NHL is planning to come back and essentially finish their season in time?
Yeah, I saw today, we all saw it came out that the hope for a good playoff and the rest of the season comes out. They have the top four teams on each conference going to play a little round robin action, see how the seeding is officially set for the playoffs. Then you got 5 through 12 on the other side, play a best 3 out of 5. And then nobody knows yet how they plan to push the teams forward and what the second round's going to look like. But that's basically a set plan. I think they said that they were aiming for middle to end of July to start that back up. So I'm ready for it to come back. I'm sure everyone in the sports world is, and hopefully get our beloved sports back sooner rather than later.
I think it's going to be very interesting because you're going to see it also allows teams that really had no shot at winning anything, house money. You got nothing to lose, so just go for it. And we could see a team that sneaks in as the final seed, just go make an absolute cup run and go for it.
Yeah, I mean, with this new format for the return of the season, it just gives hope to most teams in the league.
Exciting to see.
30 NHL teams, right? 30? 31?
31.
So that's 24 out of the 31 teams get a shot?
Yep. No one's ever been upset with the Cinderella story.
I mean, looking at the proposal, personally, I think it's a great idea. The top 4 teams in each division are playing a round robin style. So think like FIFA World Cup, think like an Olympic style where they're playing each other to determine seeding for the next round. And those remaining teams that are still in the playoffs, I mean, it's basically going to be a bloodbath. You don't know who's going to come out on top. I know my favorite team, the Rangers, are slated to play the Carolina Hurricanes. Rangers are the 11th seed. No, they wouldn't have made the playoffs in a normal season, but honestly, nothing about this year has been normal. And I think it's pretty cool to see how the NHL is trying to incorporate all these teams that were maybe a little bit on the outside looking in and give them a shot to make a Cinderella story run, as my other co-host have said. So moving on, baseball, spring training. What have we heard in regards to that, guys?
Well, John Heyman, a writer for baseball, he tweeted out earlier that the MLB's proposal is to have spring training start back up June 10th and hope to have games by the beginning of July. We'll see how that goes. I mean, a lot of things start opening up now again, so hopefully, but first they got to get a deal done beginning of June, so we'll see how they go June 1st and take it from there.
I just think it's going to be a lot more interesting with the players wanting to come back because we're seeing a lot of reports coming out today with the pay discrepancies between the players and the owners and how that's going to work out because of the loss of revenue they're going to face this season.
Oh yeah, they already had a proposed change, and players like Trout and Harper and Rendon and all those guys who are making a lot of money next year or this year are going to be losing a lot of money.
Losing big time, yeah. So what did I say? It was like $35 million down to like seven something. Like
something
ridiculous
insane
changes. Like for half a season, it's crazy to see.
I mean, not to take sides with any of this, but I mean, just looking at the proposal straight up, you're seeing how drastic of a pay cut some of these guys are taking, and you get inside the guys' heads where it's like, okay, I'm not getting my guaranteed salary. What reason do I have to come back?
Baseball, to do what they love.
You see for some of them, because it's a business, you see the fact that for Harper or Trout, for those guys that are making now $28 million less than they're supposed to, what's the point of me going out making nothing when I'm close to when there's still the possibility that I hurt myself and risk the rest of my career in my life?
Exactly.
I will tell you this. I would love to make $7 million playing baseball.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand with you, but these players are different. They see this business. What any of us, there's certain players out there say, I don't care about the money. They just want to go out and play. There's certain players that see it as a business aspect, and that's where they're going to come in from.
If they don't want to play, then just don't play. Sit out the season. I mean, it happens.
I mean, to interject here, the owners, in my opinion, they need to have some risk too, because think about it, right? You sign a guy to a contract like Trout or Harper, you're running the risk that the guy gets hurt. The guy doesn't perform to the level of the contract he signed. The guy has maybe 2 good seasons, and the rest of the contract, he's not that good. To me, what I've seen with these proposals, regardless of the viewpoint, is that the owners are trying to eliminate risk in those contracts. And from a business side, when there's 2 parties, you can't try to eliminate so much risk without running the risk that you're going to piss off the other party. And personally, that's why I feel like baseball is probably the first away of the major four sports to essentially coming back.
Yeah, baseball is just, there's a lot of money in that sport right now for a lot of these top players. So it's interesting to see where their aspects at, because there's no other sport where these players can get 12, 13, 11-year deals. There's no other sport.
Yeah.
NBA, MLB, NHL. I mean, NHL, you see some longer contracts, but nothing like in the NBA or NFL. No NFL team would ever give I wouldn't even give Pat Mahomes a 12-year deal.
So
yeah, 12 years, that's a long time.
This brings, I guess this can bring up a question. Oh yeah, that's a long time for a quarterback. Like, you don't
Exactly
hit consecutively every play. You can't trust it.
Yeah, you bring up the stuff about the NFL. Like, I guess I can raise a question: is should MLB start with the guaranteed money such as like they do in the NFL in case of an injury?
MLB has already been guaranteed money.
How do they pay like as much as NFL does with guaranteed money?
Yeah, MLB. See, the standard with MLB has always been like one of the top with guaranteed money. It's just now with the pro rates and percent of a contract is where we run into the issues. Because the contracts are guaranteed, that's what's making it so complicated for baseball to come back and the discussions between the owners and the player side.
It's really just going to come down to the Players Association versus the owners. I mean, it's going
to be in every sport.
Yeah.
Owners probably going to win it, but
yeah.
Do we see any possibility of a lockout in any of these four sports because of this?
I can honestly see
baseball's the closest to it. Yeah, baseball's definitely the closest.
NFL today. J.C. Tretter's the player president of the NFLPA, if I'm correct, and he was talking about how even though the owners and everyone's saying they're coming back to these workouts, they said the Player Association have given nothing about this. We're not, until you hear something from us, don't be ready for it.
And bringing it back to baseball and all this, baseball's CBA, to my knowledge, I think expires in 2021. So by having this dispute now, what is stopping the players from being like, what? Why should we come and like essentially bargain with you guys when you guys were trying to take all this from us? I mean, honestly, I think it's setting up a giant battle for that CBA, and I think we could see a baseball lockout in the future.
That's why the NFL got lucky to get theirs done before. Really got deep into the coronavirus and stuff like that. They got this done. Everyone's happy. For the most part.
Was their CBA expiring soon or no?
Yes.
Okay, wait.
Was supposed to be this year.
We got breaking news?
So players making $1 million receive 85% of their salary. Players making $10 million will receive 58%. Players making $30 million will receive 50%, and players making 35 plus will make under 45%.
Wow.
Less than half your contract for half a year of baseball. Plus, they already played the majority of spring training earlier this year. Plus, they wanted to go into a whole nother spring training, plus however many games they plan to play.
Yeah, I mean, do they even have an idea, other than Bart Starver's proposed idea, about how the season's going to go or no?
I don't think the owner's going to take that into consideration, only because it doesn't really lay out a plan for revenue sharing and the more intricate details of what would essentially make a deal come together.
Only time will tell most of the stuff for the contracts and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, especially today's day and age where we're all kind of stuck doing nothing right now and trying to get sports back any way they can.
100%.
With no movement.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports back, just to touch on it, I watched the Tiger, Peyton, Brady, Mickelson thing. I thought it was just kind of fun to see like a mix of two sports and just like something entertaining to watch for a couple hours.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, it kind of gave us an insight and like, hey, these guys are human in some aspects. And I think it was very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. Everyone's having a good time. Yeah.
I mean, and money was, like, what was it, $20 million was donated to COVID relief. So
large pop.
And I thought it was fun to, like, watch, like, the pro golfers and other pro players be like, hey, Manning, hey, Brady, you do this, I'll donate this, and see whether they can get it or not.
Charles Barkley laying out $50,000 if Tom Brady hit the green.
Which did not happen.
No, it did not. No, it did not.
Farthest from it.
Brooks Koepka, I think it was, after, like, literally was railing Brady, and then Brady hits the shot and says, Brady, if you hit par one of these next two rounds, I'll donate
Another 10K.
$150,000.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think it was just a fun thing to watch.
Moving on now. NBA. I think what we've heard is it's more of the status quo. They're still trying to figure out like a hub city, how they're going to bring everyone back, finish the season. Have you guys
I
heard
think it'll
anything
be
else?
Disney.
It'll most likely be in Disney. Disney's like in the lead apparently.
Yeah.
So and I think they're hoping for a mid-July return, same as NHL.
As much as all four of us would love for it to be Atlantic City because we're right there.
Yeah,
The odds of it,
we won't be able to go to the games, but
Just having
I'll take my chances of running into LeBron if he's in AC.
oh yeah, for sure.
Just having it in the area where we are, it's just like something would be cool to see how like the whole could it bring Atlantic City back up for one part and just like having the players near us is just a whole different aspect.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what does Shane Victorino still have a house in Margate?
I don't know.
That'd
be nice to know.
JR's got a house in OC. I've been over there a couple times.
Who does?
Yeah, J.R. Smith.
Been going party with him in OC. Just with the NBA coming back, just in general, I think Disney's the best place for it. It's in the lead. It's in Florida, a place where there's been a lot less of the virus, unless it's with old people. These NBA players will be a lot less risk. And I think it'd be a good place to do it and just get the season on with. And hopefully, if they have to go straight to playoffs, go straight to playoffs. Maybe get some exposition games and just get everyone ready.
100%.
I think they'll follow the NHL.
Ban Rudy Gobert. Utah won't be threatened with that one.
They could follow like the NHL format and what they're doing. So
they'll base it off something like that.
They're seeing this might be the year they finally get rid of the conference and just go 1 through 16.
I would love to see that.
Me too. I'm ready to get rid of the conference stuff. I mean,
if they
it's
do
gonna
that,
make it more exciting.
I saw like the possible bracket. The Sixers' first round opponent wouldn't change. It would still be
it'd be the Celtics.
Celtics. Yeah.
I just think in general, though, you're seeing better teams, better matchups, and a lot more differency. Now, also, it could lead to how like it's supposed to be the Lakers just are supposed to run the West when they have to run into a team from the East earlier. And now we got some real competition.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, exactly. It's providing more competition. It's more must-watch
and now
TV.
It's possible. Imagine like the year forward, maybe the Warriors back to where we have a Warriors-Lakers NBA final.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm ready for it.
And like it wouldn't be a cakewalk for the Eastern Conference team. Like the Bucks could play someone like the Nuggets, and Nuggets could take them 7 games.
It'll just make the whole playoffs more enjoyable to watch and so much more competitive.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. And now, finally, getting my transition in. Move on to the NFL. I think, NFL has been status quo. Not really much to say. We obviously
no
know
more arrests, which has been good.
We obviously know that more states are opening up. So we know that New York, New Jersey opened up. So that includes Giants, Jets, and Bills. We know other states have been open, and that NFL still expects to play in front of full stadiums. Which, honestly, who knows? Because we're still 4 months out. I mean, who really knows at this point what an NFL season is going to pertain to?
Yeah, I think it was a few weeks ago. It was like, I think it was Miami. They were saying how they were trying to think of some ideas. Like it could just be like season ticket holders for the most part and stuff like that. Like it's just like I said earlier, time will tell.
Just not.
It might be state by state.
Ticket.
Might be state by state. You might see a full or a mostly full stadium in Jacksonville, but no fans and
you won't see a full stadium in Jacksonville.
Yeah, you'll never see.
You knew what I meant. You might see a lot of fans in Tampa Bay and in Jacksonville, but maybe 49ers, Oakland, you might not be seeing fans there at all. Just it might be by the state and by the governor.
I mean, yeah, I feel like if anything, they'll just limit the capacity of fans in the stadium so they can try to stop the spread somewhat with having a live crowd.
You could put a good amount of fans in there and keep everyone 6 feet apart. There are a lot of seats in those places.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You would have to have capacity, but I mean you're still getting fans in there if you're
still
doing
getting
capacity. Yeah,
about 40,000 people. I mean,
exactly.
So it's a big number.
It's a lot better because I was watching a soccer match today. I was watching their Klassiker Munich and Dortmund. I know we don't much soccer, but I was watching today. And they had a fake fan noise, and it's just really weird because the fact is you're watching a game and like you're looking up, you see no fans, but you just can hear the fan noise coming through. And it's like it's just not.
It sounds real.
It does sound real, which is the weird part. Like it sounded like, and they were able to make it's like if something good happens for the team, like they made it good, or like if a ref's bad call, like they're booing them.
Yeah, that's weird.
Looking up and seeing no fans, hearing it is just it's interesting.
I saw, I think it's Japan or whatever, their baseball league. They have like sex dolls in the first.
Oh man! Oh, I didn't think we were gonna get into that. Oh yeah.
No, we don't have to. But I know I heard about that.
It was
along those lines.
A second-tier team in Korean soccer, and that's what they did.
Oh gosh.
They thought they were mannequins. Apparently, allegedly, they said they were mannequins. They're wrong.
That's all we have to say about that. But
let's move on. Honestly, in an overall sense, there's been more optimism. There's more hope. I think I can speak for all four of us and say we all want sports back. And
more than anything.
And honestly, I think we're a lot closer than we were even 2 weeks ago to getting all of them back. So
definitely.
On that note, moving on, we're going to dive into some more fun stuff on this podcast. So today, we came up with the idea all together that we're going to go over our top 3 sports players from each major 4 sport. So our favorite 3 basketball players of all time, our favorite 3 baseball players of all time, favorite 3 football players of all time, and favorite 3 hockey. Now, when I say favorite of all time, I'm not saying this guy has to be an absolute stud. This is just someone we grew up loving, someone we might have seen make an amazing play one time and be like, you know what? That's my guy right there. So it's going to be interesting to hear what all 4 of us say. You may get some similar opinions. You may get some different ones. And I say let's dive right in. We're going to start with football. So, Austin, who are your top 3 football players of all time?
All right. I think this whole list is going to be Pittsburgh Steelers. We got Ben Roethlisberger is definitely my favorite player of all time. He's led the Steelers to 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl championships. I mean, he's got Hall of Fame career under his belt already. Like I said in the last podcast, he's going to be the comeback player of the year in fantasy and the NFL. I still think he is a top 5 to 10 quarterback in the NFL, and I'm ready to see him at full strength. Second up, Mean Joe Green, Pittsburgh Steelers all-time player, Hall of Famer.
Thanks, Mean Joe.
Yeah, classic. I don't really have much to touch up on. I was at his jersey retirement game. I just love watching his highlights because obviously I was not born during the time he played in. Just love watching him as a player. And lastly, Santonio Holmes for what he did back in that Super Bowl. I mean, the toe touch, can't beat it. It's probably a top 3 to 5 all-time Super Bowl play in my opinion. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
I think the top Super Bowl player, though, is the Philly Special.
It's some bias.
It's close.
Yours is also biased.
Yeah, I know. My whole list was. So.
Yeah.
I'll take it here. My top 3 going to be Eagles-based. Just that's what I grew up with. Favorite has to be just Shady McCoy. When he was in Philly, I loved him. Loved him from the second he started. The way he ran, even though, sometimes with the one hand was a little dangerous. Just he was an absolute beast. The snow game against Detroit when he just absolutely went off was something else. Second off is that same era was D. Jackson. He was originally there. Speedster, got the ball, 2 different quarterbacks, just deep threat, make moves. The way he celebrated and taunted, I just loved it. And the jersey I was wearing last week, little Brian Dawkins. Hard hitter, killer, just the absolute instinct you want from a safety.
I don't have like a specific order, but I guess my top 3 favorite, I'll same way as both of you. I'll just kind of go off the Eagles because I grew up watching them, paid attention to them the most. One of them is Brian Dawkins, an absolute beast, one of the best safeties of all time. Not saying the best, but one of the best. Got to go with Shady. Always, whenever I would play football games, just always like try to act like him, be swift, be quick, versatile, anything. And then third, I gotta go with Nick Foles. It's just the only QB to in Eagles history to win a Super Bowl. So it kind of has to be up there for me.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different route from my co-host here, whereas I'm going to have one guy on here for my favorite team, but my list is going to be a little bit more scattered. So
The Jets have never had it good.
That's false. That is completely false.
They got some.
In no specific order, though.
Don't get me and Brandon into that debate again.
That was bad.
In no specific order, I'm going to start off with LT, LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, guy is definitely my favorite football player of all time. I know I said no specific order, but I had to start off with him. I mean, just seeing him run, he was the first all-purpose back before being an all-purpose back was like commonplace in the NFL. So he was your first kind of McCaffrey, Kamara, Gurley, all these guys that do 1,000. LT was doing that 10 years before they were even in the league. The guy was an insane running back, and he was a fantasy machine for those out there who love playing fantasy, and he carried the Chargers with Phillip Rivers for years. Could they ever get over the hump? No, but he was there. He was electric, and he really was one of the main reasons I fell in love with football. Just watching the things he did on the field was just incredible to me. Number 2, got to go with Darrelle Revis. I mean, being on the Jets, probably one of the best corners of all time. In his prime, you could throw anyone up against him. They would not do anything. They would have to look to another receiver. I remember how he shut down Megatron. He basically shut down Randy Moss aside from that insane one-hand touchdown he had. For some reason, that touchdown will never get out of my mind, but we'll move on from that. But he was just the model of success when the Jets were good back in 2009, 2010. They were that ground and pound defense, just we're going to be hard-nosed and play like that. And watching those teams, specifically Revis, have really solidified my standing as a Jets fan. And lastly, I mean, it's tied for me because these two go hand in hand for me. It's got to be Dante Culpepper and Randy Moss. I mean, for those who aren't really like close with me, I didn't always cheer for the Jets. I always loved them, but I've really started off as a Vikings and Chargers fan. Really Vikings because of Culpepper and Moss. I mean, growing up, I always wanted to run and just absolutely launch the ball like Dante Culpepper and basically catch it like Moss. I mean, those two guys were absolutely incredible to see in tandem. And I know Culpepper had the injuries, and Moss went on to be an absolute beast for a season with the Patriots. But really, those two guys with LT, I mean, it went Culpepper, Moss, LT, and then Revis. I mean, those guys really solidified me being the big football fan I am today. And well, without these guys I mentioned, my all-time favorites, I probably wouldn't be even in the football as is.
Okay, let's go revert. Let's go next.
Let's move on to baseball, and I'll start with baseball. Just going back in that reverse order. Top 3 baseball players that are my favorite of all time. Number 1's got to be Griffey. Ken Griffey Jr., sweet swinging. I mean, he's one of the main reasons I love baseball. I mean, just watching his highlights, I always tried to mimic his swing growing up, and most of the time it ended miserably. But sometimes I would connect with one and be like, damn, that's how he feels. But looking at his swing, it's just so insane to replicate. I mean, just how he has the bat wiggle and just bang, explodes through the zone. It's like, oh, wow, he's hitting it 400 feet again. And how he roamed the outfield. It's like, yes, he was injured, but he was still one of the best players of all time. He probably could have been the best of all time without those injuries. So he's got to be 1 for me. 2, another deep cut, Grady Sizemore.
There it is.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Brandon actually had a shrine to Grady Sizemore going up.
Not gonna lie, I basically did. I mean, I literally got a custom-made 2009 All-Star Game Grady Sizemore jersey. That's how big of a fan I was. And this guy wasn't a slouch either. I mean, he was a above-average defensive outfielder. He raked, and He was a big part of those mid 2000s Indians teams before they went
That was his
on
prime.
Yep.
a little bit of a downslide towards the early 2010s. And honestly, I mean, this guy, his career was derailed by injuries. I always thought he would rebound with the Phillies or Red Sox, but once those knees and hips go in baseball, you're just about done. And that's what happened to him. It's a shame, but for those seasons, he really was my favorite player for a while. And number 3 for me, it's a tough one, but I'm probably gonna have to go with Miggy. I mean, I know all these guys wore 24,
All right.
but seeing Miguel Cabrera hit was special. In his prime, winning a triple crown, that's unheard of at this point. And to do that, going up against Trout, beating Trout out when Trout was exploding into the league that second season, it was just amazing to watch him hit. Do I think Trout should have won the MVP? Yeah, but Cabrera was a guy where you could not, in his prime, you could not get him out. And he was even a beast back in his Florida Marlins days. They weren't the Miami Marlins back then, but even back then he was still an above average hitter. And just those 3 guys all wearing 24, all different kinds of players, but really those are my top 3 favorites of all time. Let's move on to Gabe since we're going in the reverse order.
All right, my list isn't going to be as descriptive because, again, I'm a homer, so I'm going to keep it Phillies. 3 guys I grew up watching all the time, won a World Series together, mimicked all their swings. One of them, Chase Utley. Always grew up watching him literally all throughout my high school career. I would do the little thing where he did before he stepped to the plate, before the pitch came in all the time. I always did that. He's probably my favorite player of all time. Number 2, got his best friend, Jimmy Rollins. You know, MVP, World Series winner, all around great guy. Just one of the best players I've seen play for the Phillies. I know there have been a lot of great players, but I haven't seen all of them. So, and number 3 has got to be Ryan Howard. You know, everyone wanted to mimic his swing, and I was one of those guys, especially being lefty playing first base growing up. So it's always fun to mimic his swing and strike out like he did and hit a home run like he did. Yeah, those are my 3.
That puts me up. Gabe and I are very close Phillies fans growing up, same stuff. I'm going to be going with Chase Utley the same way. I mean, the dude just knew what it took to win and was just – if Chase was up in a situation, you knew he was going to come in clutch. Just loved watching
he will definitely deliver, always.
Second, I'm going to go to the outfield here. Give me the Flying Hawaiian. Victorino, absolute just speedster, outfielder. Just I loved watching him running around trying to catch every ball. And this one's more of a cult hero than one that was just great in Philly, but I'm going to have to take Raul Ibanez.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Going deep for that one.
Man.
I mean, he just was so much fun to watch, and the way he played, his swing, his style it was a fun thing to watch, and he stuck with me through my years. Okay, you're up, Kane.
All right, so Gabe and Maddock.
Come on, man.
Got Chase Utley. You can't beat him. I mean, the guy's when he's on the field, he's always working hard. I mean, like Gabe, I always did that little 1-2 thing when you got up to the plate before the pitch came in. Next up, you got the big piece, Ryan Howard. I mean, who doesn't want to hit a bomb on the Ashburn Alley, 450 feet over the tower back there? And lastly, this is just a personal guy, Felix Hernandez. Growing up being a pitcher, I was always mimicking him, wanted to do what he did. And I always wanted to get out to Seattle, watch him play a game, but obviously it's not that easy to get across the coast.
Yeah. One guy I always mimicked when pitching, just pitching my friends or something, Johnny Cueto.
That's Maddock's boy.
That was Maddock. That was Maddock all the time.
Maddock turned all the way to second base and then pitched.
Do you remember the name Bronson Arroyo from the Reds?
Yes.
I do.
Kick. I did that all the time too.
A little kick in the leg all the way up and fly.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just did a full 180 turn all the way back. And I got forward with it.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to hopefully a sport where there's not as many homer picks. NBA basketball. Our favorite players, and that I'm hoping not to hear three more Philly guys, but you know what? I'm doing a show with three Philly fans, so I'm probably gonna
We're just
hear it.
upset that Ali broke the guy's leg. Not our fault.
I mean, you're not wrong. That was a dirty play, but we'll move on. It's in the past.
Call it what you want.
Whatever.
I think it's a hard baseball play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it
very
takes to
smart
win
baseball play,
within
too.
the rules.
I mean, the rule was changed following that, but.
Kane, NBA. Let's hear it, buddy.
All right. First off,
all right.
First off, mirror Gabe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Kane?
all right.
Goes back around.
You kind of mixed
All right,
up
Kane's
Kane
like-
and Gabe. I was like,
yeah,
huh?
I heard Gabe.
kind of similar. All right, first off, Brandon, you're not going to like my first two because they're both Philly players. Joel Embiid. I'm a Kansas guy, so him getting drafted out of Kansas and just changing the city of Philadelphia basketball, no one's going to top that. I mean, he's the process. It's literally what he's called in Philly. Cannot beat it. Next up, the answer, Allen Iverson. I mean, classic over Ty Lue. I mean, it's one of the greatest plays in NBA history. Everyone knows it and wants to mimic it when they're on the court if they cross someone who doesn't want to stand over their opponent like they just own them. And lastly, LeBron James. I think he's the greatest player of all time. Like I said with Embiid, I love how a guy can go into a city and just change it as a whole. I mean, and like I said, greatest player of all time.
Okay. Me, I would be a little different. You're not getting a lot of love out of guys because the way I play basketball myself, defense, rebounds, a lot of stuff like that. Start off with a Sixers guy, defensive monster, Andre Iguodala. Absolute
Classic.
best. He's even as much as I would have loved for him to stay with the Sixers. It was awesome for me to see him win the finals with the Warriors just because I loved him growing up and he was just absolutely my favorite player by far. Second off, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of love for this, but my next favorite player is Draymond Green.
What?
Come
You might as well
on,
say
man.
Kevin Durant, too, little snake.
Draymond, for me, is exactly how I play the game of basketball. Defense, rebound, pass.
Kick people
And
in the
then if
nuts.
there's
Yeah, I was about to say that, too.
Aggravating everyone.
Yeah, I do that occasionally. And then if there's a possibility to really make a shot, go for it. I think Draymond – Warriors don't win any finals without Draymond. He's that extra piece. He's that Dennis Rodman piece that just is it. And then I'm going to go with – I am going to go with another Warrior. I'm going to go with Klay Thompson. I've always loved watching Klay play. You know, the second you give him an inch of room, as soon as he catches, it's over. Klay's just running around, and he's also a very good defender, and people don't see a lot of that because they just notice all the threes he hit. But Klay Thompson's a very good player defensively because, you know, Steph does not play very much defense, and Klay usually has to make up for that by guarding a point guard. Klay Thompson, 3, and the D, my third favorite.
All right. My favorite player all time. It's pretty simple. He's my favorite Sixers player. It's Joel Embiid. Man is a beast on the court. He's the funniest guy on Twitter. When he is trolling people, he is a top 10 player in the league. He's dominant. He could go down as one of the best centers to ever play the game. He is a game just like Hakeem. You love to see it. You saw him kind of destroy LeBron on the move in All-Star game. Number 2.
The dunk over Westbrook.
Yeah, that's always legendary.
Just
Number
can't
2,
beat him.
it's got to
Can't
be
beat him.
it's got to be a pre-processed Sixer, Drew Holiday. Just
Respect.
always is
Love him.
just a good guy.
Got to bring him back.
Great basketball player. Always for the team. Never put himself for the team. He was always just a great player, and I just loved watching growing up. And then third, as Austin's, LeBron. best basketball player of all time, in my opinion. He's just a beast on the court. He's one of the greatest guys off the court. There's just not much to say. Like as Kane said, he just kind of changes the team. Like we talked about last week. You see how his presence impacts a team, like his team, and when he's not there, he just brings a different intensity to that game.
I mean, that's all you guys so far, even with the Philly flavor. I mean, those lists are really good because those guys are like top tier, top notch guys at what they do, and just hearing those lists is just I think it's sick. For me, you guys are gonna be surprised by this, but obviously the Knicks have some great all-time players, but I've never really had one of them as my favorite. I mean, growing up with basketball, I'm a diehard Knicks fan, but they're guys. It's never really been those guys as my complete favorite. So I mean, with that in mind, we're gonna start off. Number one's gotta be Vince Carter for me, and the dunk contest king, playing forever. I mean, this guy. I have at least 3 different T-shirts of this guy. I am a diehard Vince Carter fan. I will die on the boat that he is one of the best players of all time. We can get into that debate later, but he was an insane player. I mean, starting off in Toronto, he literally saved basketball in Canada. I mean, you can look into that story, but he was the Toronto Raptors for an extended period of time. And that just to do what he did, having the longevity and still the ability to adapt and overcome wherever he's playing, he's been my favorite player ever since. Number 2, Tracy McGrady. Dude is a baller. Dude would have been one of the best players of all time without injuries. He's still a Hall of Famer with the injuries, but people said he could have been Kobe, MJ level if he stayed healthy. He had that type of talent. Was the defense always there? No. But offensively, the dude was lethal. He was a weapon on offense and one of my favorite players ever to watch. Just seeing what he did in clutch time, it was incredible. And number 3, gotta be Dwayne Wade. I've always loved Dwayne Wade growing up. The guy was just insane with the mid-range finishing. I mean, everything basketball used to be, he dominated that. Was he a great three-point shooter? No, but he could do literally everything else. And if you can see a pattern, all these shooting guards really fall into my favorite guys because I don't have the athletic ability these guys have, but seeing someone that's in a position that I used to play when I played and kind of seeing myself in those spots, it was really cool just looking up to those guys as role models for me. And now our last sport, which I watch, I know most of us watch it, but we're not really too versed on it. We're going to dive into our favorite NHL players. And I'm going to start. I'm going to finally have some New York flavor to this.
You're the only team that's been good in New York.
No. All right.
Tell me I'm wrong.
We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. I'm going to start off Mark Messier. And solely because he brought the Stanley Cup to New York. And that was from what my dad's always told me. I obviously wasn't alive for it. This was in 1998, 1997. I forget exactly what year, but just hearing about how much that title meant was incredible. And researching him as a kid, watching his highlights, it was amazing to see how this guy was so good for the Rangers after coming over in a trade, and how New York accepts him as one of their own because of the title. Number 2 for me, Chris Kreider. This guy's been my favorite player for at least 10 years. Dude's a baller, bodies people on the boards. I'm not saying he's one of the best players in the league, but he's always been my favorite. And honestly don't see that changing anytime soon. I mean, Rangers have a tendency to trade their best guys, but I hope that he's able to stay. And number 3 for me, we're going to have to go deep cuts because my hockey knowledge has been limited the past years, getting back into it. But number 3 is probably got to be Sidney Crosby.
Oh, no.
I know.
Oh, no.
Can I leave?
All right, guys. Starting next week, we're gonna have a new co-host, and it will not be Brandon Pockris.
Okay,
Come on,
but
dude. Fights with his helmet and his stick.
I don't know. Just seeing
Miles Garrett.
seeing his goal scoring ability is just incredible. I guess that's really all I have to say why I really like him. Like I said, not the biggest hockey fan, but I'm more of like a diehard Rangers fan than, oh yeah, I like this guy and this guy. So we're gonna move on to Gabe. So Gabe, I can't wait to hear your hockey favorites.
I'm not the biggest hockey fanatic, but I kind of know my hockey, and I kind of know the 2010 Flyers. That was a very upsetting time.
It was.
Gonna go with all Flyers here. It just happens. I'm sorry. Got to go with Claude Giroux first. He's just a beast. Like, he's been with the Flyers for a long time. He's the Philadelphia Flyers. He just that OT goal against the Penguins last year was just incredible to watch. It was awesome. Number 2, I got to go Simone Gagne.
Oh man,
Simone Gagne.
When I watched that team, he was my guy. He was my guy to watch. Loved watching him. Number 3, Danny Briere. Not much to say about him. He was always a leader too. Did whatever was asked and no questions. So it's my 3 guys.
Puts me up. Mine's be a little different here. First off, back to the Mike Richards is one of my favorites to watch when I really watch hockey. Exceptional center player. Secondly, just for the longevity and how long he's been going, how much fun he was to watch, was giving me Jaromir Jagr. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Surprisingly.
Look at that.
Congrats.
Soccer, that makes sense. Just longevity and ability. And thirdly, because of one moment, I know he's a captain, and we're never going to speak about that part, but TJ Oshie, just because of what he did in that one shootout. Just watching that, and
that was
I remember I was at a gym. I was out at a gym working out when it happened, and everyone stopped what they were doing because it was on the TV and just started watching. And the way he did it, and you don't know these people, you're just working out, and you just start celebrating with them because something like that just brings everyone together. So those are my 3. The one who actually knows a little more hockey will go now.
All right, starting off, Alex Ovechkin. I think he's probably the best scorer of all time. It sucks to say as a Flyers fan, as the Capitals are one of our rivals. That's that. Next off, got the captain, Claude Giroux. He's been the captain for a while now. My favorite moment of him last year in the Stadium Series, that overtime goal against the Penguins. I hate the Penguins. So. And lastly, Steven Stamkos, one of the greatest scorers for a long time now. Shout out Mike Harrison. If you're watching this and you made it this far, got the change of the sweatshirt this week. And one last guy I'm going to add on to there, because how long he's been in the league and what he's done in the league is, once again, sucks to say because he's a Bruin. It's Zdeno Chara. I just love how big he is, and how if he sees you on the boards, he's just going to pin you and don't rock you. But yeah, those are my top guys.
I remember a couple years back they did the NHL Skill Challenge. He had the fastest slap shot by a lot. He was just that strong and that hit it that hard.
Yeah, he's insane.
Yeah, I mean, all great lists for all 4 sports. As you can see, a diverse selection of players for all of us, for the most part. And now for the final part of this episode, we're going to dive into our favorite sports moment. Now, favorite sports moment doesn't have to always end in a championship. For some of us, it will. For example, it won't end one for me, because I haven't seen a championship for as long as I've been alive. 18 years. Soon to be 19. But yeah.
New York, baby.
Hell yeah.
That's how they do it up there.
Exactly.
So I'll open it up to you guys. Who wants to start and who wants to give us their favorite sports moment of all time that they were alive to witness?
I'll
I can
start.
give you my least favorite sports moment.
I want to save that for a different time
All
because
right.
I could get very deep into that one.
The butt fumble, that up there.
No, I mean that's outside my top
An
five.
option.
I'll begin here because mine's fresh in my mind. I was there in 2015, the time would have been when Duke came back against Wisconsin to win the national championship. I was in the stadium. I was there. All hope looked lost. Wisconsin had a 9-point lead. And out comes out of nowhere this freshman out of Florida, Grayson Allen. You know, I personally, as a Duke fan, have always loved him, minus the tripping thing. Grayson Allen, barely anyone's ever heard of him, barely played against Michigan State 2 days prior. Comes in, starts driving, finishing, and ones, playing defense, and he just revitalized the entire Duke team. The comeback started happening, and then my main man, when his 1 year at Duke, Tyus Jones, just took over from there. 3-pointer, the free throws he hit. Him and Quinn Cook formed an outstanding backcourt. Justice Winslow was exceptional. One of Kane's favorites, Jahlil Okafor, was just killing it down there. That team was just exceptional in itself, and I was there watching it. It's probably my favorite memory, being there with my grandfather, who went to Duke.
That was a very
greatest
that was a
time of
very
my
good
life.
team. That was a very good team.
Should have been Duke, Kentucky, but no, they had to blow it that year. 38-0 Kentucky blew it right before the
Yeah, that
final.
was an elite Kentucky team. That was probably one of the greatest, if not their
They
greatest
let
team of all
Frank
time.
Kaminsky and the one dude, the one dude that could shoot.
Sam
back.
Decker.
Oh,
It was Sam Decker and Frank
Decker.
Kaminsky. Yep, I remember that.
All right,
All
I'll
right.
take the next one. So it's back in the 2008-2009 NFL season, the Super Bowl. Santonio Holmes, like I mentioned earlier, toe drag. Can't be beat. That whole drive, if you were to go through the game and watch it all that, or just get to that drive, that whole drive was Santonio Holmes, Santonio Holmes, Santonio Holmes. He said on the sideline, I remember hearing a little clip saying that he wanted to be great, and he surely was. I remember the play before was identical. They went to the left side, went right through Santonio's hands, and Ben had the trust in him that he'll get it right back to him on the right side. We all saw what happened. So that is my favorite sports moment of all time.
We're not
I
going to
think the
dive
more-
into what happened in his career afterwards, but yeah, it was a great moment for
New
Santonio.
York.
I also think more impressively than Santonio Holmes' catch from that game is the fact
James
that James
Harrison.
Harrison made it 106
Yeah,
yards on
yeah.
the reception.
Yeah,
More
that's
impressive than that is the fact
surprising.
that if you watch that, because I've watched it a couple times. Go back, watch Fitzgerald dive at him at the 20.
He goes
Get
out of
up,
bounds.
and then
Yeah.
shoots it back down at the goal line.
Yeah, that's when the oxygen tank got broken out after that play.
Okay, which one of you two wants to go?
I'll let Gabe go. I'll save mine for last.
Well, I got two, but I'll choose between the two. I got to go with good old Philly special. Yeah, it's
Solid
my-
choice.
my-
Solid choice.
Knew one of you would say it.
it's obviously my favorite play. Kind of a big turning point in the Super Bowl and Nick Foles' legendary run. I mean, it's fourth and goal. They kick a field goal, and who knows what the Patriots do after that, but said they go for it and break out that good play, and it worked to perfection. It's just plain and simple my favorite.
Bring Trey Burton back to Philly. That's all I ask.
All right, Pac, wrap us up here.
I mean, listen, my teams have made it to the championships before. They haven't exactly won it, but I think memorably, my favorite memory of my sports team is when the Mets made it to the World Series, because being 15 years old, 14 years old at that time, I hadn't seen really my teams get back since I was 10 with the Jets, and that already seemed like a lifetime ago with the back-to-back AFC championships. You begin to think it's commonplace. Think, yeah, my team's gonna be great, and then they fall off a cliff because Jets. But seeing the Mets get to that World Series with me being a huge baseball fan, it was one of my favorite memories ever. Just having that jubilation, like, oh my God, we're actually going to the World Series. We actually have a chance to win this thing. And just knowing what the Mets had that year, it was just amazing to watch. Unfortunately, they didn't get the job done because you knew that Royals team that they were facing, they were coming back for vengeance after what the Giants did to them in that even year when the Giants were on that incredible even year World Series run. It was just honestly really, really amazing to watch that Mets team. And I think they have the talent to get back there soon. How soon, you don't know, but it's
Wasn't
still
that year?
gotta have hope.
Wasn't that year that the Mets made the World Series, the year when Matt Harvey like kind of forced himself to go pitch the ninth inning and blew it?
We're not going to talk about that. On that note, thank you guys for joining episode 3. Please make sure to follow our social media pages, 4CornerSports on Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to
Don't forget about TikTok out there, people.
Yeah,
and the TikTok. Honestly, thank you for all the support. For those who are subscribed, if you're not subscribed yet, please do so. We would really appreciate it. We're trying to get this thing moving off the ground. And honestly, all the support we could have, we would appreciate it all. So thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time on 4
Tell your
Corner
friends and family. Be
Sports.
my best friend.
Thanks for watching.